Yes, I missed being mugged by a whisker. I'll tell you how I missed being mugged by a whisker. I'll also talk about that place generally. Today, that place is one of the safest places in Nairobi. I want I want to talk about the two, the the mugging I missed, the mugging that happened later, and I also want to compare the place now and how it was that time. It is more than 10 years ago. It is more than 10 years ago. And the place is quite changed. With the advent of county governments, we find that nowadays, almost all the streets in the counties have got street lights. Those days, street lights were mainly for the major towns. So that stretch where I was nearly mugged, probably even killed, is now with streetlights. And also, there used to be farms there, shambas there. Nowadays, buildings have come up. You see, with the buildings in a place, also discourages muggers. Now, let me start with that happened. I was, it was not very late. It was around 10 p.m. It was around 10 p.m. that I alighted from a matatu. For those of you who know Riruta Kawangware area, I alighted at a place called Mukaru. I alighted at Mukaru. Then from Mukaru to where I stayed, where I used to stay that time, there were two ways. You go clockwise, it's a shorter road, or you go anti-clockwise, which is three times the length of the length of the clockwise. I felt that, and you see the longer route is safer. It is safer. You only have to bear with the dogs, stray dogs at night. And if there is anything in life I fear, are dogs and snakes. Dogs and snakes. So after alighting, I decided to follow the shorter road. But something was telling me that the road is not good, even at that 10 p.m. So I went. There is the junction of Kinyanjui Road and Nyakenywa Road. I reached there, decided to assess. You know, you assess things not by what you see, but what you feel. There is an uphill there near a certain tall building. There's a place written Miti ni Mali. So I reached at a place called Miti ni Mali, looked back. You see, there is an uphill there. So looking back, I saw one person following me. I wanted to certify who that person is. That is when I realized that he knew me, and he had also been waiting for somebody whom he knew, so that they walk together. The young man's name is Alan Orata. So when I stopped and saw him, I said, "Oh, kumbe ni Alan, yeah." Then we greeted each other. When we greeted each other, suddenly behind us, two South Sudanese followed us. These two South Sudanese knew us, and we knew them. We knew each other. I've told you that I knew Alan Orata, and Alan Orata knows my three names. But these South Sudanese, we knew them by appearances. So when these two South Sudanese seeing us, and you know, foreigners, especially if you have stayed in the Riruta side, we have very many foreigners who are South Sudanese. We have very many foreigners who are Burundians and a small number of Rwandese. These people are very careful. They avoid situations where they'll be needed to maybe go to court or give evidence or something like that. So when they saw us and knew that we were good people, they decided to follow us. So as I was talking with Alan Orata, the Sudanese saw us and felt that, you see, the more the number of people you walk around, the safer. So they felt that they should join us. And then when we saw that there are people we knew, after just greeting, we continued. So we were talking, the two of us, in Sheng, and the Southern Sudanese were talking in, I don't know whether it is Dinka or Nuer language, I don't know. But they were talking in their language as we were going. So we were just going. We reached a place opposite a private school, where we found two people, two young men. These two young men were not even talking to each other, but they were facing each other. And both of them had smartphones. They had smartphones and it was on. Just like nowadays, when you walk around, you see young men and women browsing their smartphones. Those days, browsing was very expensive. And even, I remember those days when you wanted to go to the social media, you would go to a cyber cafe. Browsing from your phone, very rare. Very rare for someone to browse from his or her phone. So they were looking at their phones. If it was today, one would have assumed that they were, if it was today, someone would have assumed that they were browsing. But they were just quiet and we passed them. After passing them, after a safe distance, Alan Orata turned to me, told me, Mzee, those guys are not good people. Asked why? Said, damu yangu imeniambia hawa si watu wazuri. Said, no. Don't you see they have expensive phones? You know, nowadays, it is really, can I say, less than 15% of the people do use kabambe or mulikamwizi. But those days, it was the reverse. Less than 15% of the people had smartphones. So my conclusion was that since both of them had smartphones, then they could not be crooks. We passed them, and then we reached a certain junction. The junction was a four. Okay, there was this Nyakenya Road which went straight. If you turn to the right, you go to the apartments that I used to stay. If you go to the left, you go to where Alan Orata used to live. I don't know whether he still lives there. And if you go straight, you go and get back to Kinyanjui Road, which I said was the longer route. So when we reached that junction, we asked each other. Me, I told them that from here to the apartment that I used to stay at that time, it was very safe for me. Alan Orata also said it was very safe for him. I'm sure people who stay there today will be shocked that I'm saying so. When that place today, there is a lot of street light and you can walk there any time of the day or any time of the night. So the Southern Sudanese said, from here, it is safer for us. So we parted ways. And at my door, as I was ringing the bell to my house, I had some gunshots. I had some gunshots. The first thing that crossed my mind was that those two young men whom we had seen must be police officers. Must be police officers who are waiting for crooks, and there was an accident. That is what I concluded. Then I just went and slept. The following day, going there, that is when I learned the truth. That immediately after we left, after we passed that place, a police officer who had been told of mugging incidents at that particular place had gone there with a pistol. So when they saw he was alone, they wanted to mug him. And he shot one of them dead on the spot. The other one he shot, and in the morning they were following the blood spatter on the road to see where he had gone. So whether he lived or died, we will never know. But one of them died there and then. Now let me tell you about another incident. I think it happened around the same time. Let me not say it was earlier or later, but it was around the same place. And I've said those people who stay near the Mormons church and near the private school will be shocked if today they hear those stories. They'll tell you that that is one of the safest places nowadays. But it happened that time. So what happened was this, that somebody, a young man, visited his friend. He visited his friend, and around the same time, 10 p.m., he was leaving. He was leaving, going back to where he lived. And then he told his host, this road is very dangerous. This road is very dangerous. Can you escort me? His host said, no, this road is not that dangerous, but let me escort you. Upon reaching approximately the same place, they met gangsters. Gangsters with a gun. And they shot this visitor dead. So a few days later, after this one has been treated for shock or anything, of course, people went to see him, trying to investigate. How was it? Can you tell us? Whatever, whatever. But there's something I noticed, that there were some times, it is a bit hard to zero it out on anybody. And that is how detectives usually use photographic evidences to pin out on crooks. There are times when you'd ask him a question about those crooks who are waiting for him, and he would get alarmed. There's even a time he even told one of the people who were asking him, wewe ndio umesema sio mimi. Then I got a feeling that we who were asking him and inquiring from him on a lot of things about the incident, among us were some of the crooks, and he knew them. You see, these crooks are funny. They tell you, go, but if you disclose us, we'll come for you. So there was that kind of feeling that is there. But as I've said, and I'll repeat for the last time, is that the place is so safe because the chambers that were there are now apartments. And two, the whole street has street lights. So it is a bit safer. Not it is a lot safer than that time 11 or 12 years ago. Another thing I would want to say is that because of this thing that is called street lights and whatever, we have to say that we have to thank the, the coming up of county governments and so on and so forth. Because with the county government and such things, we now have plenty of such street lights. Thank you.